They told me I was lucky to have the job. They treated me like a machine, screamed at me for not shooting fast enough, and stole my bonuses because I refused to lie to families. So, when I finally quit, I didn't just walk away. I took everything they owned, locked it in a storage unit, and built my own photography empire with their equipment. 12 years later, I'm still using it. If you've ever worked for a company that used you, abused you, and acted like you were disposable, this story will feel very satisfying. Hit like, subscribe, and get comfortable, because this is how I turned their greed into my independence and destroyed their business from the inside out. Picture this. You're standing under a blinding halogen light. Fake smiles all around you, the smell of hairspray and baby powder thick in the air. There's a toddler screaming in your ear, a mom yelling at her husband, and a store manager hovering near the door asking, "How many sittings do you have left?" That was my life. I worked for a company called 3-Phase Photography. Not weddings. Not fancy events. Nope. Just family and children's portraits, shot assembly line style in whatever retail store would let us set up a backdrop. We were a traveling circus of forced smiles and fake sauna beards. Here's how it worked. 3 crews ran this operation like a military drill. Step 1, the pre-seller. They'd arrive 2 or 3 weeks early to a big box store, think Walmart or Kmart, and sell cheap $10 portrait specials. Step 2, the photographer. That was me. I'd roll into town with a van full of lights, props, and a camera, set up a studio in the middle of the store, and shoot 30 to 50 families a day, 10 minutes each. Crying kids, cranky dads, chaos. Step 3, the salesperson. 2 weeks later, they'd show up with the proofs and upsell families on $400 portrait packages. Fast, high energy, and brutal. We were supposed to shoot fast, the faster the better. That's what management said. But the faster you shoot, the lower your quality. And quality sells pictures. I understood that. My bosses didn't. Their logic was simple math. 50 sittings at $100 average equals $5,000. 35 sittings at $150 average equals also $5,000. So why shoot fewer sessions, even if customers were happier? Because these people didn't care about quality. They cared about quotas. That was the company's religion. But I was good, damn good. Where their average photographer brought in $100 per customer, I was pulling in $175. Not for 50 customers a week, but for 150 to 200. My quality was higher, my sales better, my customers came back happy. I made them a lot of money, and they treated me like trash. Every week I'd get lectured for not booking enough sittings. Every bonus I earned was clawed back because I didn't meet quota. They'd withhold raises. They'd tell me I was too slow, even as I out-earned every other photographer in the region. It was like working for a cult that worshipped mediocrity. Still, I stayed. Because back then, I thought hard work spoke for itself. Spoiler, it doesn't. Then came the jerk. He was a pre-seller, a smooth-talking con artist in khakis. He could sell anything, mostly because he lied through his teeth. He'd overbook my schedule like it was a joke. Our hours were 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. He'd sell appointments from 9 a.m. to 8:30 p.m., store capacity, one sitting every 10 minutes. He'd triple book the same slot and then sell open appointments, telling customers, "Come anytime. The photographer will squeeze you in." He promised everything. Bring your dog. Bring your whole family of 15. She do your makeup. She throw in a free toaster. Free toaster. I wish I was kidding. And the worst part? He waived the $8 sitting fee every time, meaning I was required to collect that money, and if I didn't, it came out of my check. Imagine explaining to 300 angry parents why you're charging them for a free shoot. I told my boss flat out, if you ever put me behind the jerk again, I quit. Guess what happened next week? They lied. They told me he hadn't worked that store. He had, and when I showed up, the line was already out the door. That week broke me. 3 days. 316 customers, alone. I'd start at 9 a.m. and shoot straight through until after 9 p.m. People screamed at me. Threw shoes. One woman spit on my pizza when I tried to eat on break. The store manager had to lock the doors at night to get people to leave. Even the security guard started hanging around just to keep the peace. I remember standing there, my hands shaking, my face burning from fake smiles and fluorescent lights, thinking, this can't be my life. But I finished the week because I was young, stupid, and too loyal for my own good. And then I called my boss. Hey, I said, nobody came to get the equipment. What do you want me to do with it? He said, you're going to need it next week in Florida. No, I said, because I quit. He laughed. You didn't give me notice, so I'm not accepting your resignation. You're going to Florida next week. I'm an independent contractor, I said. You can't make me go to Florida. I quit. He hung up. That's when the switch flipped. I'd been disrespected, humiliated, screamed at, underpaid, and lied to. Now it was my turn. I looked at that equipment, lights, props, backdrops, a brand new Canon T2i 550D, and thought, you know what? Maybe this company just made their last mistake. I stared at that gear sitting in my apartment, boxes of props, tripods, and enough lighting to power a small film set. My boss hadn't sent anyone to pick it up. He assumed I'd cave, pack up, and head to Florida. Not a chance. I didn't want to steal it. I just wanted to make sure they didn't screw me again. Then it hit me. I could use his own laziness against him. See, my boss, let's call him Rick, wasn't just incompetent. He was pathologically lazy. If he didn't want to deal with something, he'd ignore it. If someone else could handle it, he'd disappear. That was his weakness. And I was going to make him choke on it. First, I took their company credit card and drove to the nearest climate-controlled storage facility. I rented a small unit, paid for the first month, and loaded everything inside. Every last halogen bulb, every tripod screw. Then I made an inventory. Photos, serial numbers, receipts, a full record of what I'd stored. I locked the door, took a deep breath, and walked away. But I wasn't done. Next, I cut the company credit card in half. Then I called the bank and reported it stolen. Why? Because if I didn't, the card would keep paying that storage rent every month automatically, and I wanted the clock to start ticking. The rent was paid for 1 month. After that, if no one claimed it, the unit would default. And that was exactly what I was counting on. Finally, I boxed up the credit card pieces, the storage contract, and the lock combination. I included a little hand-painted sign that said, "I quit." Then I FedExed it straight to Rick. For good measure, I sent an email to HR saying I'd terminated my contract and that my boss had all the information on the company equipment. Now, this part? I'll admit it was a little sneaky. I sent that email to someone I knew was on medical leave. Why? Because if I sent it to anyone competent, they might have noticed, and if they noticed, they might have acted. But if I sent it to someone drowning in 1,000 unread emails, by the time they got to it, it'd be too late. And then I waited. A month later, there was a knock on my door. Police. Turns out the company had reported the equipment stolen. My stomach dropped. They said the setup was worth $12,000. I thought I was going to jail. The officer was polite but firm. "Ma'am, we're investigating a theft report. Can we come in?" I let him. I showed him everything: emails, the storage contract, FedEx receipt, even the inventory photos. He called it in. Then he looked at me and said, "Well, sounds like you covered your ass." Because on that storage contract, both my name and the company's name were listed, and the payment was on their card. They owned it. They just didn't care enough to retrieve it. I was officially in the clear. But here's the thing. They still didn't come get it. 2 months passed, then 3. Until one day, I got a call from the storage facility. "Ma'am, we're about to cut the lock and auction the contents of your unit." I almost laughed out loud. This was it. The jackpot. I called Rick's office, left voicemails, emails, everything. "You really need to call me back immediately." He ignored everyone. Perfect, because in my state, once a storage unit goes to auction, the owner can't bid on it themselves, but someone else could. Someone like my neighbor. We made a deal. He'd go to the auction, bid low, win the unit. Then I'd buy it back from him. And on my birthday, no less, the unit went up for sale. My neighbor bought the whole thing: lights, camera, everything, for $125. A week later, he placed an ad in the local paper: "Photography stuff for sale, $1,000 firm." With the wrong phone number, of course. Then he called me. "I can't keep all this in my garage," he said. "You want it for $126? I wrote him a check. He wrote me a bill of sale. And just like that, legally, officially, permanently, everything that once belonged to the company belonged to me. When their lawyer finally came knocking, I was ready with receipts, signatures, and a brand new business already on the rise. Once I had the equipment, I started thinking bigger. For 8 years, I'd made them rich. For 8 years, I'd shot their photos, handled their clients, calmed their angry customers, and fixed their scheduling disasters. For 8 years, they'd told me I was replaceable, and now I was the competition. The gear was mine. The talent was mine. The client list was in my head. And every store manager in 3 states knew my name. So I made some calls. One by one, I reached out to every store I'd ever worked for. "Hey," I'd say, "remember me? The photographer who didn't double book your lobby? The one your customers actually liked?" They always laughed. "Oh yeah, we remember you. You're not with that company anymore?" "Nope," I said. "I run my own now." And I made them an offer they couldn't refuse. Better prices. No sleazy presellers, no fake specials, no lying about free toasters. I did everything the company refused to do. I showed clients their photos immediately on a computer monitor. I let them order right there, pay in full, and go home happy. I mailed their photos directly to them. No hidden upsell visit 2 weeks later. People loved it. No pressure, no gimmicks, just honesty. Within 6 months, I had more work than I could handle, and that's when the company noticed. At first, they sent nasty letters, claimed I was violating my non-compete, claimed I was using stolen property. I ignored them. Then a lawyer letter came, big, angry, official. Cease and desist. Return all property. You are in violation of contract terms. So I sent him copies of everything, the FedEx receipt, the emails, the police report, the storage contract, the bill of sale from the auction. Then I waited. 2 weeks later, I called his office. "Hi," I said, "just wondering if you received the documentation?" The receptionist hesitated. Yes. I believe the matter has been closed." A few days later, a certified letter arrived. No further legal action will be forthcoming. Translation: we screwed up, and there's nothing we can do about it. That should have been the end of it. But I wanted more. I wanted justice. So I went to war the only way that mattered in business. I built my company, one store at a time. I named it TrueView Photography. Simple, honest, everything. The company wasn't. Within a year, I had schools and stores calling me. "Hey, can you do our portraits?" The other guys were awful. Every time I smiled, "Of course I can." I hired my first photographer, then a second, then a third. At one point, I had 8 shooters and a full-time office assistant. We didn't lie, we didn't scam, we didn't cheat. We just did good work, and you know what? It was enough. Because slowly, surely, the company started to crumble. They lost contracts. They lost clients. They lost reputation. One by one, the stores they'd owned for years switched to me. Until eventually, they lost everything. The boss who tried to force me to Florida got demoted. The salesman who caused it all wound up working at a gas station. And me? I got the last laugh. Every single day. Within 2 years, the company was gone from 3 states. Their big contracts? Mine now. Their stores? Mine now. Their customers? Mine forever. Even the one store where everything had blown up, the one with the screaming mobs and the security guards, called me back. I walked in, smiled at the manager, and said, "Let's do it right this time." We did, and the company? They tried to come back, but nobody wanted them. Their reputation was toxic. The jerk, the one who'd started it all, lost all his stores. He tried to get hired by one of my photographers. I still laugh about that. My photographer called me after his interview. "You're not gonna believe this," she said. "He asked me for a job." I told her, "Tell him you'll call him back." We never did. As for Rick, my old boss, he got demoted. His district dissolved when I took their contracts. Eventually, he quit altogether. A few years later, I got a call from a number I didn't recognize. It was a company checking Rick's references. "Hi, we're calling to verify his work history." "Oh," I said sweetly, "I'm legally not allowed to share my opinion of him," which was true. But it was also delicious. By 2016, the company folded completely. Gone, me? I ran my business until 2017. Then the rise of smartphone cameras wiped out the market. But I'm still here. I still have that original studio rig minus the old Canon, which I've replaced several times. These days, I shoot restaurant menus. Food doesn't scream, cry, or throw shoes at me, and every time I pick up my camera, I smile. Because every photo I take now, every dollar I earn, every contract I win, it's built on the bones of the company that thought I was nothing. I didn't just quit, I buried them. And 12 years later, I'm still reaping the rewards. Here's the thing about revenge. It doesn't always look like fire and fury. Sometimes it's a quiet kind of justice. Sometimes it's taking the thing they used to control you and turning it into your freedom. They wanted me to shoot 50 sessions a day and smile while they broke me down. Now I choose my clients. I set my prices. I own my peace. That's what real revenge looks like. If you've ever worked for a company that used you up and threw you away, tell me in the comments what your I quit moment would look like. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this story, because sometimes karma needs a little help from someone with a camera.